promoting dialogue.
It's midday in Dakar. Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world on wadr.org. This is NEWSLINK, and here are the top stories. Senegalese head of government forms a new cabinet consisting of the previous set of ministers ahead of the 2024 elections.
It didn't change the direction that the population was taking in terms of vote. It gave more credibility to the election.
Liberia's main opposition candidate Joseph Boakai of Unity Party takes an early lead according to the electoral umpire.
Now the presidency for Montserrado County, 3 polling places of 2,008 polling places constituting 0.15%. Boakai Joseph N, UP, votes obtained 576, constituting 47.56%.
Bamako on due permit for resumption of flight operations by Air France, and authorities in Nigeria train security forces to prevent attacks on learning institutions in the northwest.
It's a national assignment. It's not just for some states while others are left out. However, the pioneer states are numbered about 16, all the states in the northwest, northeast.
Stay with us for details of these stories and more.
Here is Imo Edit with NEWSLINK.
Many thanks for joining us. Let's begin here in Senegal, where the reappointed Prime Minister has inaugurated a new cabinet nearly a week after the previous team was dissolved by President Macky Sall. Prime Minister Amadou Ba's team has the same number of ministers, only with slight changes. Notably is a switch of portfolios by former ministers of Foreign Affairs, Justice and Interior. This cabinet has a few months to steer a new course for the country as it readies for the February 2024 presidential elections. Abdullahi Hassan reports.
According to Prime Minister Amadou Ba, it is a government of mission and combat. 39 ministers in all, with no major changes. 7 new members have been brought on board the new government and slight changes done to a few others. Ismaila Majo Fall hands over the justice portfolio to Aissata Talsal, who leads the foreign affairs portfolio. Antoine Felix Diome is leaving the Ministry of the Interior for the Ministry of Oil and Mines. Sidiki Kaba replaces him. Abdul Karim Fofana occupies his previous portfolio as the Minister of Trade and Government spokesman. Omar Yom, chairman of the ruling coalition's parliamentary group, is back in government, this time as Minister of the Armed Forces. This government has 4 major missions for the next 6 months. But will the changes make any difference? Ibrahim Khan, a governance expert, responds.
In the past, it was done, and it didn't change the direction that the population was taking in terms of vote. It gave more credibility to the election. But at the same time, when you look at these elections where the leader of the opposition might not participate in the election, and also the fact that both the opposition and the ruling coalition are divided, this may be something that can worry us, because at the end of the day, people can think that manipulation can come through this process.
The new government intends to combine transparency and proximity to the people, with only 5 months to go before the presidential elections in February 2024.
Abdullahi Hassan reporting there. Well, talking about elections now in Liberia, the National Election Commission on Wednesday commenced the announcement of the results of the presidential elections held on Tuesday. Former Vice President Joseph Boakai of the Unity Party took an early lead in the first set of official results announced by the chairperson of the commission, Davidetta Brownland-Sana. WDL's Darlington Popper tells us more.
The results announced late Tuesday represent a small portion of the results from Bome and Montserrado counties. From the count by the electoral umpire, the main opposition leader Joseph Boakai of the Unity Party obtained 3,119 votes, while incumbent President George Weah had 1,681 votes. Davidetta Brownland-Sana is Liberia's election chief.
Now the presidency for Montserrado County, 3 polling places of 2,008 polling places constituting 0.15%. Boakai Joseph N, UP, votes obtained 5 576, constituting 47.56%. Moneybar Clarence K of Lainu, votes obtained 5, constituting 0.41%. Nyanti Sarah Beslow from ALL, votes obtained 0, constituting 0.00%. George Manewia of CDC, votes obtained 547, constituting 45.17%.
The Commission is warning against early celebration as the results announced do not constitute 1% of the total polling centers across the country. But despite the warning, the Secretary General of the ruling Coalition for Democratic Change, Jefferson Koji, says unofficial results from their data centers indicate that we are on the pulse.
These elections, we want to salute the Liberian people for their commitment in re-electing the president for his second term. From what I said and what we have clearly suggests that these elections were a testament that the Liberian people are not ungrateful.
The Commission is yet to respond to the CDC's disregard for its warning. For now, Liberians are very eager as the Elections Commission continues with the pronouncement of more results today. For NEWSLINK on West Africa Democracy Radio, I'm Darlington Pogba in Monrovia.
We turn now to Niger, where regional experts and public affairs analysts have reacted to Washington, D.C.'s acknowledgement of the coup in that country 2 months after the arrest of Mohamed Bazoum. Recall the statement by the State Department was communicated by the U.S. Embassy in Niamey on Tuesday. Matthew Miller, spokesperson for the U.S. State Department, stated that his government has concluded that a military coup has occurred in Niger. Questions raised, which Morgan Ashogba, an international relations expert, responds to are why the delay and how this statement may affect ECOWAS' mediation effort in the Nigerian political crisis.
This is a strategic move by the United States of America. What was the most important, let's say, target or item to be handled by the United States was to make sure that there is a room for communication, interaction, and defense of the American interests within the region of Sahel and especially in Niger. So for that to happen, it will have been, let's say, hampering to declare that the coup in Niger was a coup just on the very moment that it happened. What it means for the junta is that the junta will receive the information that currently they are, let's say, riding a very inappropriate methodology in terms of leadership. It is not appreciated by the international community, but they will also understand that they have some interesting bargain powers as far as the United States of America is concerned. So the collaboration with the United States of America shall continue as long as the interests of the U.S. is at stake. And the junta will be encouraged to make sure that everything gets back to order in terms of returning to the constitutional rules.
Morgan Ashogba is an international relations expert.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. NEWSLINK continues.
Well, more stories now from the Sahel. The Malian junta on Wednesday blocked the commencement of flight operations this week by Air France to Bamako. The transition authority asked the airline company to review its plan. James Ojapon has more in this report.
The development, first reported on VOA's website, came not more than 24 hours after Air France said it was resuming flight operation between Paris Charles de Gaulle and Bamako's Modibo Keita Airport. The service was planned through a third-party company. The French airline, by Wednesday afternoon, stated that it was postponing the resumption of services until further notice following additional requests from the Malian authorities. In a separate statement, Mali's Ministry of Transport specified that Air France takeover request was being examined by the National Aeronautical Authorities. The ministry underlines that during the examination procedure, Air France flights remain suspended. A senior Malian official was cited as saying The decision was cancelled because the agreement was given without due consultation. Air France suspended its flights to Mali and Burkina Faso on August 7th after the closure of neighboring Niger's airspace following the military takeover on July 26.
James Japan reporting there. The Chadian president is calling for international humanitarian over the deteriorating situation of refugees and displaced persons in the country. And Jamina claims that since fighting began in Sudan in mid-April, over 400,000 Sudanese have crossed into the country to seek refuge. Interim President Mohamed Deby Itno, in an address on the crisis, said many of the affected are women and children. Ogeberika report.
Leaders in Chad say the Central African nation is struggling to meet the humanitarian needs of 2 million displaced people, including those fleeing violence in neighboring Sudan. President Mohamed Idris Deby said on state media that more than 400,000 Sudanese refugees and nearly 52,000 Chadian returnees have arrived in towns and villages in eastern Chad since April. He said the Central African state needs immediate assistance, including food, shelter, water and sanitation from the international community to help refugees and host communities. N'Djamena informed that fighting between locals and refugees in border towns and villages has been reported because of limited resources. Wadr, a town in the southeastern province of Wadr, was mentioned as a case study, having welcomed more than 210,000 refugees within the past 2 weeks. Chad hosts 2 million refugees from several neighboring countries, including Sudan, Cameroon, Nigeria, and Niger. The United Nations estimates that by the end of the year, 600,000 Sudanese refugees will have arrived in Chad.
Ogeberika reporting there. You're listening to NewsLink on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM Dakar and on our partner stations across the South region. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Senegalese head of government forms a new cabinet consisting of the previous head of ministers ahead of the 2024 elections. Liberia's main opposition candidate Joseph Boakai of Unity Party takes an early lead according to the electoral umpire. Bamako on due permit for resumption of flight operations by Air France. And still ahead in the news, authorities in Nigeria train security forces to prevent attacks on learning institutions in the northwest. We do have an update on the Liberian elections and sport news. Please stay with us.
West Africa Democracy Radio.
It's 12 minutes past the top of the hour, and you can listen to us live on wadr.org. In Ghana, the Office of the Special Prosecutor, OSP, has petitioned the Chief Justice Gertrude Tokono to remove Justice Edward Twum as the presiding judge on the confirmation application against the seizure and freezing of properties of former Sanitation Minister Cecilia Dapa. Sangmendi has the details.
The anti-graft body is scheduled to move its application for the court to approve his decision to seize some 2.8 million cedis and $590,000 found in the home of Cecilia Dapa and the freezing of her bank accounts on suspicious of being tainted properties. This is after the court on Wednesday granted an application by lawyers of Cecilia Dapa to move the hearing date of confirmation to a much earlier date than October 18, which used to be the date. But lawyers of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, OSP, say they cannot have Justice Edward Twum hear the application as he is prejudiced against them. The request is grounded on OSP's belief that Justice Edward Twum appeared to be highly prejudiced against the OSP and the passing of the Special Prosecutor. Consequently, as it stands, the OSP would not and cannot be reasonably expected to be parties to proceeding before the said judge.
There. In Nigeria, the National Safe Schools Response Center has commenced training personnel on school protection in the Northwest. This follows recent repeated attacks on schools and kidnapping of students, a trend that is threatening the already abysmal record of education in the region. From Abuja, WDR's Usman Amara completes the story.
The 5-day training opened at the Correctional Service Staff College on Tuesday in Kaduna, northwestern Nigeria, The participants included personnel of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, and other stakeholders. Tereso Shapera, the commander of the center represented by Atiogo Sunday, an intelligence officer, said the objective was to guarantee uninterrupted learning and ensure the safety of students and communities.
It's a national assignment. It's not just for some states while others are left out. However, the pioneer states are numbered about 16. All the states in the northwest, northeast are part of that program. The program is a phase-by-phase achievement plan by the government to achieve safer schools.
In his remarks, the NSCDC commandant in Kaduna State, Idris Adda, outlines the importance of the training.
All these participants are representatives of various commands, and they are all here to acquire the knowledge of protection of schools within their own vicinity. And I believe very well, and so much that as soon as they get back to their various commands, they will be able to inject whatever knowledge acquired from the training into the junior ones in the office.
A recent report by Save the Children highlights that since the Chibok girls' abduction in 2014 through the end of 2023, 1,683 learners have been kidnapped from schools in Nigeria. Out of the 276 girls abducted from Chibok over 9 years ago, more than one-third are still missing or being held. There had been 70 incidents of attacks on schools where over 180 school children were killed and nearly 90 injured. An estimated 60 school staff were kidnapped and 14 killed. For NewsLink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Abuja.
As the 20th anniversary of the Grand Challenge annual meeting ended on Wednesday in Dakar, the Senegalese capital, scientists and innovators have called for a stronger regulatory system that rigorously protects people's health. Hosted by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Grand Challenge platform provides African scientists and innovators with the technical and operational support they need to turn promising ideas into scalable health and development solutions. Speaking to WDR on the sideline of the event, WHO Africa Director of the Global Malaria Program, Dr. Daniel Gamije Madandi, charged leaders to play their role to solve challenges facing their health sector.
Leaders are playing a key role at different levels. Leaders as innovators, leaders as policymakers, as decision makers, as head of communities, as family members. Because at the end, a leader is there to inspire, is there to energize its constituency towards a vision to solve issues that they are facing. So I presented that topic because I believe that if we want to take advantage of different opportunities that are there, with all new tools recently discovered, like malaria vaccines, insecticide for NET and IRS, new drugs, and those in pipelines, we need to be well prepared as African leaders to mobilize resources that are needed, human resources, financial resources, conviction of people to use things, because it's one thing to be having new tools, it's another thing to use them.
The Grand Challenge platform provides African scientists and innovators with the technical and operational support. And with this in mind, Dr. Madusal, director at the Pasteur Institute of Dakar, emphasized the importance of manufacturing vaccines needed by Africans, as this will solve some of the health challenges.
In the next 20 years, sequencing and genomic revolution would be extremely important for the future of health and impacting population, particularly in Africa. In such a context, bringing messenger RNA technology into making medical countermeasure like vaccine should, for me, be a matter of focus, because I strongly believe that messenger RNA is for vaccine industry what mobile phone has been to the telecom, a way to disrupt the whole industry and creating complete new concept. I mean, you could see with mobile phone, mobile banking comes, and this comes from this M-Pesa in Kenya, where Africa is teaching to the world how you do mobile banking as like first innovative project. And then I think between now and the next 20 years, we may have in Africa with technology like quantum we have now in IPD.
That was Dr. Amadou Sal, director at the Pasteur Institute of Dakar.
Politics, analyses on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
All right, we'll take you back to Liberia following the announcement of electoral result on Wednesday by the country's National Election Commission chairperson, Davidata Brown-Lansana. There has been a euphoria of jubilation by members of the Unity Party of Joseph Boakai based on the provisional result. Now, with other concerning issues of some counties yet to have their result declared, including no official statement from the Election Commission, many political observers and democratic stakeholders opine their earlier call for the major opposition party to be in a comfortable lead may destabilize the principles of electoral accountability. Well, our electoral correspondent Grace Joshua from Grand Bassa County is in Liberia and has an update.
Yesterday, National Election Commission came up with provisional results, and people have started celebrating already. But what's happening right now is that the main opposition Unity Party is celebrating, as well as CDC, the Coalition for Democratic Change. So what has happened lately is that there's a radio station, quote-unquote, Freedom is bringing high result, high data for the Coalition for Democratic Change, while Spoon is coming in with result for the Unity Party as well.
So has there been any reaction from the government regarding speculations about the celebration by members of the Unity Party?
The government has not reacted, and everyone is peaceful, calm. But the Unity Party is expected to host press conference by 12 today, because they said that they need a result and they have issues with them not putting percent of the counties and just giving overall result. So they are calling press conference to come up with their official result from their own war room.
So in this case, what about the Electoral Commission? Has there been an official message from them as well regarding this, earlier celebration or these earlier speculations about winning of the elections by the Unity Party?
According to her yesterday, she said that there are 15 counties in Liberia, and the whole elections constitutes of a percentage. So if you are taking where you win and coming up with percentage at this early stage is not right. But Unity Party is saying they have representatives in all the polling centers, and what they gather from their data is what they are going to go back, and election commission should work in line with what they have. But the issue we have on ground is that radio stations started announcing results while counting was still going. So the question is, where are most of them getting their data from?
So finally, when are we expecting the final results, looking at the fact that voting ended 2 days ago?
Voting ended 2 days ago, but we have a situation here where the Sando, part of Sando, a district in Sando, and that of Riverside County is precisely across the Sesto River. There's a huge river there that have no bridge, and people cross on Kino to get there. The National Election Commission was not able to take the ballot back to the magistrate there on time, and the water is overflowed right now. So they are waiting, they carry on their team to do field assessment. After the assessment, then the team will tell them when election will be conducted in that place. And but they are working within 15 days period to conduct the election on Assam.
That was our electoral correspondent Grace Joshua there from Bassa County in Liberia. And in sport news, Commonwealth Games champion India, Kenya, Uganda, Benin Republic, Togo, South Africa and host Nigeria are among the teams that will compete at this year's ValueJet IAAF Lagos Para Olympic. The tournament will run from October 12th to 14th at the Maladi Okoya Thomas Hall of the Teslim Balogun Stadium, Surulere in Lagos, Nigeria. Chairman of the local organizing committee, Sunday Odebody, said the tournament has received the full sanction by the World Table Tennis ruling body, while the tournament has helped to unearth more top stars for Nigeria. Well, here is more sport news with Sankule Janko.
Love that. Warm welcome and thank you for joining us. The Senegalese global music star Akon will host the final draw of the CAF Africa Cup of Nations Côte d'Ivoire 2023 on Thursday night. CAF has revealed the much anticipated final draw will be held at the brand new Parc d'Exposition venue in Abidjan. The All Africa hitmaker Akon is reportedly a huge fan of football and will be at the center stage when the qualified teams learn about their fate. A total of 24 countries have secured qualification to the tournament and will know the teams they are paired with after the draw. Reigning African champions Senegal will hope to defend their title, while the rest of the 20 countries battle for the ultimate prize. Ekon will host the final draw alongside former Ivory Coast captain Yaya Toure. The 34th edition of the Africa Cup of Nations will take place in Côte d'Ivoire from 13 January to 12 February 2024. Elsewhere, the Confederation of African Football, CAF, and Visa on Wednesday signed an agreement making Visa the official and exclusive payment partner for several CAF competitions. The scope of this partnership, according to CAF, includes the CAF Africa Cup of Nations AFCON Côte d'Ivoire 2023, the CAF AFCON Morocco 2025, the CAF Women's Africa Cup of Nations WAFCON 2024, and the CAF WAFCON 2026. However, the most important sports story certainly today is the much-awaited Africa Cup of Nations draw, which will be conducted in Abidjan tonight. I can't wait to see which teams will be grouped against current champions Senegal. That's it for sports. It's back to you.
Well, certainly we can't wait here to see who falls into that draw. Thank you there with Sport News. And we've come to the end of this edition of NewsLink from West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Chris Mukudi and Mustafa Sek for the technical assistance. Let's continue the conversation on our social media platforms, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram at WADR News, and Facebook, West Africa Democracy Radio English Service. I am Imo Edet. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for listening to NewsLink via Hot 104.3 FM, Newmi FM 94.0, and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County. For you listening via Radio Pad 95.1 Damango, Savannah region, and on Royals FM 104.7 Wenchi, Ghana, we say a big thank you. Remember, West Africa Democracy Radio is all about you, your views, and your opinions.